Hello everyone, I'm TenZ, and today we're going to be going over everyone on Sentinels settings in-game, out-of-game, Windows, that type of stuff. There's actually going to be chapters set up on this video, so click to whatever chapter you want to kind of view it. So you can see what we're using, so we're all pro players, ex-pro player. But yeah, let's get right into it. So to start off with my settings, first off, I always go to mouse settings first. And I do make sure my DPI is at 1600 DPI. That's what I use personally. And then for the pointer option right here, I always turn off enhanced pointer precision. It's kind of like a mouse acceleration built in Windows. And then I make sure that I'm on 6 out of 11 for the tick, which is in the middle. So right here, it's already all set up for me. Afterwards, I will go into my NVIDIA control panel. And there's like two things I do. Mainly, I do set my digital vibrance to 100%. I'm colorblind, so it helps me see some stuff. So that's what I normally do. And then also I adjust desktop size and position. I go to full screen, perform scaling on GPU, and then override the scaling mode set to the game. I just did this because of CS and I played stretch, so I just always do it like this. It's just kind of how I set it up. And honestly, I don't really think it matters. I know some people do like display or GPU. I don't really know what matters, but you're not doing any scaling in Valorant as long as you're playing on 1920, so it probably won't affect you. But sometimes I do play stretched, so that's why I do have the setting like this. Afterwards, I go to adjust image settings with preview. I just click performance or use my preference emphasizing and then scroll down to performance and just leave it like that. Okay, so that's kind of all the out of game stuff, so I can jump right into in-game. As people know, I'm basically on setting roulette 24/7. So my sense changes all the time. I think I was on 0.175 recently, so that's what I'm using currently. Will change probably tomorrow or maybe a few days, so we'll see. I make sure I have raw input buffer on. I rotate my minimap. I think I noticed a lot of pro players actually used fixed maps, but I've just always used rotation of the map because it's just easier for me to kind of align myself with an enemy on the minimap. So sometimes, like if I don't have vision of someone, I'll try to approximately aim at head level and then line my middle of the minimap cursor on the enemy. That sounds kind of confusing, but it's just something I do. Afterwards, I always make sure my minimap size is on the highest, and then my minimap zoom, I actually use 0.65. Other than that, I turn off blood and stuff and turn off corpses, just kind of helps everything just be really clear. I also disable all the instability indicators and stuff, like any stuff that can distract me. I play with bullet tracers off, and let's see what else. I always show inventory just so I always know like what abilities I have and what guns I have in case I pick up a gun. So it just kind of helps me. Afterwards, into controls, here's my key bindings for my abilities, WASD, all same type of stuff. I do jump with mouse wheel down, and on equipment over here, I do more interesting settings than other people for my op. For my operator zoom, I actually put it on toggle instead of cycle. And then on toggle zoom level, I have my mouse wheel up. Basically what that lets me do is when I'm using the op, I can toggle in between the first zoom and the second zoom whenever I want. So I don't have to, like, in order to go back to the first zoom, I don't have to unscope the weapon and then rescope in, which normally if you do use toggle, or I mean, if you use cycle, that's what you have to do. So just a quick example of what that looks like. When I zoom in, I can go like this, kind of like how a Marshall is, but when I want to zoom in, I use my mouse wheel up to zoom in like that. So I can go in between what zoom levels I want. It just helps me control the op to like the highest degree. I actually first learned this setting from, I think it was CNED that I saw when it was early on in Valorant. So I tried to copy it just because I think it's just better, being able to fully control the op however you want. It's not like Counter-Strike where it makes a zoom tick, so it doesn't really matter. Afterwards, right here, I use basically all defaults other than that. a few things I do use. I do put equip spike on 5 instead of having it on 4. It's the same as the use key. And it's just if I'm on the site and I want to drop the spike to someone else, I can just press 5 instead of jumping, pressing 4 and then pressing G. So it helps me just drop the spike whenever I want and equip it whenever I want without it being confusing. I also do equip last use weapon on G, or on Q, I mean. So what that does is, let's say I switch to my shorty and my Vandal. Instead of pressing like 1, 2, 3 to go through them, I actually just press Q to switch between the last 2 weapons I use. So if I did a knife and a shorty, if I press Q, I'll switch back to my knife. So stuff like that. It's just another CS keybind that I got used to, so I just brought it to Valorant for myself. Other than that, I use object as E. I actually have my F key on my ultimate. I also had my use key on E in CS, so that's why I transitioned it like that in this game. My push talk key I use is X normally, but I try to use no push to talk whenever I can. So if I'm using Discord or we're playing professional matches or scrimming, I would normally do voice activation just because then I don't have to press a key to talk, and I can just talk freely. But if I do have to use a push talk, I would use X. If X is taken in like another game, I'd probably press like caps lock or something. And then my ping is Z. Other than that, I think everything else I left default. Like, I don't even know what any of this stuff is. What is this? Okay. Right now, I'm just using a standard dot crosshair. Just Scion. It has an outline, and its size, its thickness is 2. And then everything else I turn off. I copy it over to my ADS crosshair. On my sniper scope, I use 0.8 thickness with a Scion dot. Video settings over here, full screen. Actually, when I'm playing on stream, I actually use windowed full screen. It adds a little bit input delay compared to full screen, but I just like it because I alt tab a lot when I'm streaming, and so if I want to like play labs or something or go watch a video, I can do that with windowed full screen a lot easier without having to tab in, tab out with full screen. Graphics quality, I put 2x, 2x, and then everything else on low. Sometimes I've been experimenting with improved clarity and bloom, but other than that, everything else I just leave on low. For my stats, I just have the FPS on text only, my ping on text only as well, and packet loss on text. And then I also have HRTF turned on. Other than that, that's basically all my settings. I mean, I also do yellow outlines with Deuteranopia, but I'm also actually colorblind, so it helps me a lot, and I can't really see red when it's on the player models. Like, I tried it at the early parts of the game and I just couldn't see anything, so this has helped me a lot for visual clarity for enemies.
Yes, we did a video on that.
Yep, we did do a video on this. Honestly, I think like when we would play matches and stuff, I'm kind of like a routineless person. I know it's not really that good or optimal, but I would suggest people have like a routine that you do to kind of get into the game, because it kind of puts you in the same headspace and mindset. But for me, I don't really use a routine. So before a match, I would just go into the practice range and I might just shoot bots like this. I might just do the 30 bot challenge and go for kills that way. I might do KZ, I might jump around, I might throw slow orbs at the bots over and over. Really depends what I'm trying to do, which I don't really know, depends on the day. So yeah, that's kind of for me. I know other people kind of have that, but yeah, I don't really do that. And then I guess final thing I will probably do is like my monitor distance. I kind of sit a lot closer to my monitor compared to other people. So what I normally do is I push myself up against the table. I don't like touch the table fully, but like I almost touch the table. And then I make sure the top of my eyes align with the like 2 or 3/4 part of the monitor. So kind of like in this section of the monitor right here, the top part, I kind of make sure that my eyes are eye level with that. So then I'd raise this up a little bit, and then I bring it pretty close to my face, I will not lie, and then just tilt for just easier view for myself. Make sure it's centered. Sometimes I use a measuring app on my phone to see if it's fully centered, but I'm not gonna do that right now. And then this is basically how I sit. Yeah. So that is basically how I set up for myself when I'm playing Valorant.
For my display settings, nothing too crazy. Just got to make sure I'm on 240 hertz or whatever the highest hertz that you have on your monitor is. So nothing too crazy there. I do change some settings in the NVIDIA control panel. So take a look at it here. Not this. Make sure you're on 240 on here as well. That's pretty big. Going to this adjust image settings with preview section and changing from quality to performance, I always do that. I'll apply that there, and then I go to manage 3D settings. In low latency mode, I turn that on ultra, and then anything that I can put on maximum performance, so power management mode on maximum performance, and then the texture filtering also on high performance. They're already on high performance for me, they know me so well. Usually that's not like that, but that's how I do it. So change those if you want, and that's everything I do in NVIDIA. Monitor settings, I don't really do anything crazy, I just do the default ones, so nothing really to change. We can hop into in-game now. I'll just go through my settings one by one. I got 0.175 on the sense, nothing crazy with the sense, I keep it the same. I have raw input buffer on. My minimap settings are default, which probably isn't the best, but you can do that if you want. I have always show inventory on, and I don't have corpses on because they don't allow that in VCT, but overall nothing too crazy. You can kind of just copy if you want, but most of these are just the default settings. Keybinds, all of my keybinds are default, except I have mouse wheel down to jump because I like to b-hop, and I also have it so that when I do mouse wheel up, it will give me a ping. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, I have the caution ping on mouse wheel up. Those are the only things that I really change. Everything else is just the default. And for some reason this thing is being weird, but I hit T to spray. Video settings, I just have everything on low, on plus boost. I play native, no crazy res. Completely low settings on everything. I just have everything all the way down. And then I only show my FPS. That's all I do for my video settings. Audio settings, just make sure you have HRTF on. That's pretty much all you need. Make sure you use your microphone. If you don't, you're kind of lame. And that's pretty much it. Tyson told me I use kind of a claw grip. This is just kind of how my hand naturally holds my mouse. So it's kind of like this. Gonna hold it up a bit cleaner there. It's a bit clawed in. My fingers on the outside are like that, and then on this side it's like this. My thumb and pinky are on the edges, but nothing too crazy. I kind of hold it a little bit tight compared to most people, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, I do use aim trainers. I use Kovacs from time to time. I don't really think it makes too huge of a difference whether you use Kovacs or aim labs, but just whatever you can to keep you sharp. And there's plenty of resources on YouTube to kind of find a routine that best fits you. But I do think game trainers are pretty useful, and I use them to warm up sometimes.
So yeah, first thing I do when I sit in the LAN, I make sure to check my mouse. So I go on mouse settings, I go on additional mouse settings. I make sure this is on 6, always. And this is like non-enhance. Apply, okay. Then I check the display rate. So it's like the maximum. Here's 240 Hertz. And then I go on the NVIDIA settings, NVIDIA control panel. I go on adjust this desktop. I put digital vibrance on 80. I just like it that way. Plus the monitor settings I have, this is my favorite kind of like vibrance. And that is it pretty much. Then I go in game. And yeah, my in-game settings, I do 0.2, 1600 DPI for crosshair. No, this is not this one. 2024 crosshair. We're not sure about the 2025, it's a work in progress, but I do 1522 yellow green. It's kind of my signature with the aim down sight, the dot crosshair with the thickness 2. And how I hold my mouse, it's palm grip. Sometimes like when I really have to do like microfix and stuff like that, like I grip it really tight to like control it because I have kind of like a decently high sense. But yeah, this is how I usually hold it. It's called a palm grip. So usually how I warm up is I usually go on the range and shoot around, make sure I move, have my movement like tight, make sure I move and I kind of strafe shoot, stuff like that. Then I'll go play some TDMs. So I can play with the Ghost, like the pistols, I can play with the SMGs, Guardian, and obviously a rifle. Then yeah, like I play 1 or 2 TDMs, then I go on deathmatch. It really depends on the day. If I feel like I'm kind of crisp after a few TDMs, then I'm good to go and I just play. But if I feel like I still need a bit more, then yeah, I queue some DMs and make sure I focus on not really just running around and killing, but like focusing on my crosshair placement. Is my crosshair placement right? Is my micro flicks good? So I don't like build bad habits, and yeah, just make sure I'm ready to ball out.
All right, so I don't really do much for my window settings. I'm pretty sure I just do 50% digital vibrance. I don't change any of this stuff, just make sure this is the highest possible refresh rate that your monitor can do. This is just all default, whatever. And then the biggest thing, okay, one thing Saucy was teaching me, well, at least on LAN, because the PCs weren't like great. Saucy was putting this on, don't know if it's good or not, but you know, placebo effect. So we were doing that. And then the other two things was power management mode, you want prefer maximum performance. Low latency mode, you want ultra. And then I think that's it. I think that's all I do for my NVIDIA settings and my display settings, and I don't really touch anything else much. For my Valorant settings, I keep everything kind of the same. My sense is 0.215, I never change that anymore. My enemy highlight color is yellow. Don't ask me why, I just like how it looks, and my eyes, I've just been using it forever. My scoped sensitivity and my ADS sensitivity are also the same, 0.82. Again, don't ask me why. My friend, one of my close friends just said my like when I scoped in, it just looked a little too fast, so I lowered it to this number because he gave it to me, and then I've just always used it. None of this really matters. Obviously, invert mouse you don't really want on, right? Raw input buffer doesn't really matter. My mini map, I rotate. Sometimes I fix it, and then it's based on side or whatever, but for most of the time I rotate. Just kind of depends how I'm feeling. If I want it fixed, I'll just change it, but I'd say 80 to 90% of the time it's on rotate. None of this stuff I change, I just leave default. My abilities I keep all pretty default besides the mouse 4 button that you use for your abilities. And then the only other thing is I changed my walk and crouch. So in CS, it was always easier for me to crouch with my shift. So I switched Valorant to shift and my walk to control because that's what I used before. And also jumping, I use mouse wheel down. I still have spacebar, just, you know, for when I want to click it and it's there, but I use mouse wheel down for all my jumping for like 99%. I would say maybe I use my spacebar a lot for like jump throws that I have or anything like that. And then everything else is basically kind of the same. My communication you see here is like T and V. T is because of the spray that you use in game, but that's pretty much it. And then crosshair, I've been using the same crosshair for probably like a year and a half now. Coming on 2 years. I use just the normal cross of 1520. I do switch it up sometimes when I'm a little bored. I'll use the circle. I have a for fun crosshair. I have Old Faithful, which used to be my like default crosshair. I have Old Man Shroud, which was Shroud's crosshair I used in LCQ. I have the dot for when I'm feeling young, because all the youngsters use the dot and just, you know, shoot one bullet at a time now and they think they're cool. And then I have 422, that was like my default CSGO crosshair that I used. This is just 1422 for people who want to see that. And then, yeah, that's it for my crosshair. For my video, I turn on boost. I don't really touch any of this. Probably turn all this off, to be honest, actually. I don't touch any of this. And then I do all low, off, none, one, and then all off. Sometimes I use bloom, but I've heard some people don't like bloom, or like sometimes it doesn't help you and sometimes it does. I think you guys should just try it and test it and see what works for you. I've been playing with it off recently, so I'm gonna keep it off, but maybe in the future I will turn it back on. But the only thing I have on is multi-threaded rendering. Everything else low, everything else off, everything else max, none, and 1 times, and then off. And then that's it. And then stats, I have nothing else on besides client FPS. But on stage, we can't have anything, so this is what it's gonna look like on stage. But for me at home, I use client FPS, and I know some people like to use their network to see their packet loss, like with text here, you see here. But I don't have these on usually. These are just on because of the PC. Audio, HRTF should be on. If you don't like it, sucks, get used to it because it should be on, it's good. It's definitely better than not having it on. And then I keep everything kind of off or low, and then I just have sound effects and main volume on, and then my push to talk and T and my voice chat is V, and then that is it. So my mouse grip with this is I kind of play half palm, half claw. I don't really know if you can see it, but as you see, my palm isn't really on the mouse, but it's not really off it either. It's kind of just like resting half on and then half off. And then I just do like this with my fingers. So it's like a half, it's like a mixture of palm and claw, I would say. I know there's a word for it, but I can't think of it. And then I kind of just move with, I never take my index off my shooter key. So I kind of just move like this sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like this, and other times I will be like this and then move with my middle finger. I used to not like warming up because when you go to LANs, you don't really have time to warm up. They don't really give you like that much warm-up time, like sections, especially if you have like morning games for VCT. You're kind of just there and then you're doing vetoes and then you're playing, and you don't really get that much warm-up time. But now I'm trying to do more warm-up time, like trying to just, even if it's like 2 minutes or just like a death match, I think anything is good as long as you're doing something. I wouldn't say Kovacs or Aim Labs is a great warm-up. I would say deathmatch, team deathmatch, playing a ranked game before would be the most ideal. I think for me this year, I'm gonna be trying to do one Kovacs run through of a playlist that I have, and then a deathmatch, and then that will be probably my warm-up. I don't actually know the Kovacs playlist. Okay. It was given to me, I know some people will know this when I say it. It was given to me from Zekken and the one Boaster was using. I don't think they're the creators of the playlist, but I know they have the playlist and they've shown it on stream. So if you guys want to go find their VODs, or you already know about the Zekken/Boaster Kovacs playlist, then that's the one I use.
Yeah, so Wildwood's buttons are pretty default. Whichever psychopath set this to 5 out of 11 or whatever it is, you're a psychopath. Put that bitch on 6 out of 11. Turn off enhanced point of precision because it's just mouse acceleration. You don't want that. It makes your like mouse movements inconsistent. We're going to general settings, you know, English United States. We'll put that enemy highlight color in yellow. I mean, I kind of change this sometimes. It's not like necessary. The sense, you know, we change that shit every day. We don't really use the same sense. That's boring. Scope sense I have at 0.825, and then ADS sense I have 0.75. Raw input buffer is on. Like pretty much if you use a mouse, like it's like over like 2K, 4K hertz, you want to put this on because when you move your mouse in game, like it lowers your FPS if it's off. So you want to keep that on if you have like a higher sense. If you're like 1000 hertz or under mouse, you can leave it off on, doesn't really matter. Map, I have it on rotate, and then I have it like to keep player centered. Map size on 1, zoom on 0.71. I use it like this just because I feel like it makes it easier for me to like spam smokes and stuff, because I can like line up pings like with the mini map. So like say like I'm looking through a smoke and I can see somebody on the other side of the smoke on my map. I can line up my crosshair with him on the map easier, because like if it's centered and I'm able to look forward, rather than it being like not centered, or like the orientation is like the rotate is not moving. I think it just makes it easier for me. Like court, show, blood, like pretty much if you have this on, obviously like blood will come out of the people's heads when you shoot them. But if you have blood off and you like say you dink somebody through a wall, it's easier to see that you dink them through the wall. Like you can just see a spark, a yellow spark. So you want to get like, it gives you like a small advantage to see it off. And it's sometimes pretty helpful. Controls, I use like weird controls. I mean, I don't think they're that weird, but like, since I played CS, I changed my use bind to E, and then changed the ability bind to F. So that's why that's F. And then obviously this is all like just default stuff. Obviously spacebar jump and mouse wheel down, just, you know, to bunny hop. I might actually turn that off, just because my mouse will always be jumping and shit. It's fucking awesome. I know you guys experience this too. It's not ideal. Yeah, it's pretty default stuff. Equipment, obviously normal stuff. ADS I have on hold, which is weird, but I just feel like it makes it easier for me. But there is a bug with ADS on hold, which is brain dead that it's even in the game. But pretty much if you're like swiping your mouse and you accidentally like tap your right click, your mouse will stop moving and it will get you killed, always. So that's something to worry about if you have it on hold. On toggle, I don't know. Fuck toggle. Toggle's for pussies. toggle sniper aim and then cycle on zoom. I feel like it makes sense for the sniper to have it on toggle. This is like weird controls. I have my primary weapon on my mouse 1, mouse button 2, like the front one, and then equip secondary on the back one, and then my melee on X. It just makes it like easier to, you know, spam the weapon shoot keys. Makes it like easy for me. I would say like I almost get like no misclicks, and also like for me it makes it so like I can swap guns and swap to my knife and stuff without having to like take my finger off like W. I'm not saying it's like ideal, but it's just what I'm like used to. But I think it's good. Equip spike is on default 4, drop is G. I keep this on most recently equipped, so like say you have like a Vandal. I'm not sure if this is how it works, but say you have a Vandal with 0 bullets, but you have a classic, and then like auto equip, like you tap the spike, and like you have your classic out, or let's say you have your shorty out, and you have a Vandal, but you really want to use your shorty and you tap the spike, I think it'll pull out your Vandal. So it's also like good like that. I should take that on maybe. Don't auto equip melee. Probably should do that. I'm gonna do that. Inspect weapon, I have it on 3. I think before it's on T or something. I'm not sure. I think on Y, that shit's horrible. Since I can't really use F, like normally I use F in CS, so I just swapped it to 3 because it's just pretty easy to spam and just get the dopamine rush of fucking inspecting my skin. Feels amazing. Use object, obviously like I said before, I swap like F and E just because I'm used to pressing E. And use spike plant 4. It is technically unoptimal to use this, like use spike and pull out the spike on the same button, because say you need to drop the spike to your teammate, you have to, like if you're on the plant spot, you have to jump and throw it. So it is like unoptimal to have it like this, but fuck changing it, I don't care. I think these are default settings. I'm pretty sure like V to push a tog, U to party. Yeah, pretty sure everything here is default. Crosshair. I mean, I have like a billion different crosshairs, as you can see. I have like, you know, Sinatra crosshair, but instead it's actually the Demon 1 crosshair. Yep. Dot crosshair, the plus, the Zellsis circle, Style 1 crosshair from CS, Wardell, but like it normally is just this crosshair, but I just moved it like this. Thick crosshair is like Shroud crosshair, pretty much. This is like, just like this crosshair, but like -1 gap. So like, it's like tag, it looks really good on like stretch res, or not stretch res, it looks really good on this res, but I'm playing 1080, so it doesn't look good. Simple crosshair, which is just like, you know, like this one, where it like expands when you shoot. It's cool, but it fucking sucks in this game. This crosshair is just like a plus with like an outline, but it's not good. This is what the fuck is this? This doesn't even, I think it's just a dot. This was just a dot before. This one is just like some random crosshair viewers showed me, and I just like was like, all right, dude, I'll use it. Never use it again after that. And then this is just another simple crosshair, I guess. Like, what is happening? Get rid of it. Bye. Bye. Where's the other dot? You gotta go. All right, perfect. Now everything is fixed and amazing and beautiful. And yeah, those are crosshairs. Usually on some of these, I don't know where it would be. I mean, these are all red. They're all default. I like using this sometimes, like where like it's something I saw, I think Forsaken used, where like he has his opacity low, but he has the dot pretty big. It's not like it makes it so it's not like a red dot in the middle, and you can line it up pretty easily. When I was opping a lot, I really liked using that. But all my other crosses are red, and I haven't changed it. This one's that. I think it's all right to use. Next is video settings. So I'm playing on 1080p. I don't play on 240 hertz. This is just like the monitor we're recording it on, so it's not like, normally I play on like 360 hertz. I have all these on off, and then I have this limit FPS on to 420 because I love blazing it and shit. Not actually, but I don't know, like I just don't think you need to have like that much FPS. It like strains your CPU. Reflex latency on plus boost. Probably unoptimal, but whatever, we ball. Multi-side running on, all this on low, 4x, and then I've experimental sharpening on, but everything else on off. This does, I believe, cause like a small amount of input delay, but I just like how, I think it looks way better than the normal game. It makes enemies a lot easier to see, so I keep it on. And then I just have like some stats on, but we're gonna hide. I mean, I usually keep like the shooting arrow graph on, just so like if I die, or let's say I miss, I know why at least, like was I moving or not. I think it's a pretty useful thing to have on. especially if you're like recording and you want to like watch something back. You're like, oh, was I moving when I shot? And you can tell. Audio doesn't matter. HRTF on. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Mouse grip. I mean, honestly, I just hold the fucking mouse. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really do anything crazy. I just hold it kind of like this. I just hold the mouse, you know, crazy, insane. I know, crazy to find out. I hold the mouse. I don't use my feet. I use my hands. I don't know, I just hold the mouse like kind of like this. I don't like hold the whole mouse like this. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. So I just like hold it a little bit like this. I just love spamming DMs. When I warm up, I just play like a bunch of DMs, to be honest. I mean, it's a pretty easy way. Just run around. I don't really like think about too much. I mean, I'm not trying to like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not like running around and just trying to aim at people. I'm trying to like have good movement, you know, like not like put myself in like not like bad positions, but like, I don't know, kind of just like take fights how I normally would in games rather than like, just like, oh, I'm just gonna peek. Like just try to take good fights. Not really, I'm not gonna like camp. I'm gonna run around, but like if I'm gonna like force every fight, if that makes sense. But like I'm gonna force them in like a way where like I'm like trying to win it as hard as possible, but I'm not like just like not taking the fight, if that makes sense. Like I'm always taking fights. I feel like if you're playing DM and you're just like sound hoarding and just like sitting and holding corners, you're not getting better at all. Everybody and their grandma can get kills by people who are just like completely blind running around. So I think like the best way is like just to like run around and try to fight as many people as possible and try to win as many like unadvantaged fights, because then you'll actually get better and you'll realize like, oh, in these situations where like, yeah, like I have to fight to win, like you'll get better at that rather than like, oh, let me play perfectly off of util or like whatever. And that'll definitely help you win like a lot more games in ranked and stuff. Thank you guys for watching the settings video.
So for Windows settings, the only thing I really change is I have a different sense, a Windows sense than most people. Because of agents like Brimstone and Clove, in order to not affect your DPI, but to change your cursor speed, I lower this two ticks. So the default's like, I don't know, like 5 or something, and then I lower it down to like 3 or 4. Default's like 6, and then I lower it down to like 4. But yes, so this just makes it so that when I'm playing Brimstone or Clove or an agent like that, it's not like I could play on 800 DPI and throw my smokes without having like it being like moving. Like I can just go and show. Instead of actually playing like a lower DPI and changing my DPI, I can just lower the window sense, and using like my cursor here, it's just slower. Like it just lowers the sensitivity of throwing Brimstone smokes. So like I don't have a super high, like I play at an 800 DPI, and a lower window sense a lower window sense just makes it easier to throw smokes like this. If I play, the only way to change this other way would just be like lowering my DPI, but I don't want to change my DPI because it would affect my sensitivity, and I have to change my sensitivity, and I don't really want to deal with that. So that's all I really have. Nothing special. You can honestly just change your DPI in order to make this like less sensitive, and all you have to do is just adjust your in-game sense. But I prefer it like this. We can start with general. Sensitivity is 0.32. I feel like it's not too fast, not too slow. It's kind of around the middle. I've always been on this sensitivity since I started playing the game, and actually I was on a lower sense, but I changed it in order to kill like raisin jets that were just flying in the air. It was hard to shoot them, so I raised it up a little bit, and I never changed it ever since. I don't use like scope weapons very often, so I didn't really bother changing my ADS or scope sense, so that's normal. ROM input buffer is on. I mean, this is really not that big of a deal. I heard that it only really matters whenever you play on like a mouse that's like above 1,000 hertz because it causes lagging or something. And this, if you put it on, then it stops that. So I just leave it on. And I have 1,000 hertz mouse, so that's the max that I have. I don't think it really matters too much though, other than that. Map. I mean, this is like kind of more important. These like my minimap settings. It's very important in this game that you have your minimap where you can see everything, and it's not just like a smaller minimap. You have to make sure your minimap is like, I don't know like the exact amount that it is, but I just have it on these two settings. I mean, I think you could just copy this. It makes it easier. I think this is, it's just making it so that you can actually see your whole minimap is the only thing that's important. You can change to rotator fix. That's just honestly all preference. Everything else here is just kind of preference. You know, this is all preference. VCT makes you play on no corpses and no blood. And yeah, everything, I mean, I have show bullet traces on. I don't really think it makes sense to keep that off. It kind of helps me with like spraying in general and just bullet control. You can actually see where your traces are going. I don't think it really makes sense to turn that off. Yeah, I changed the ability settings, or like the keybinds. This is all for me. This is just so I can, V and C are clickable with my thumb. Sometimes I don't even click it with my thumb, but it's clickable with my thumb. Originally, I had it so that it was just all on my mouse buttons. I primarily use my mouse buttons for my abilities. This is once again just preference. You can use normal ability buttons, but yeah, mine are mouse buttons because that's what I like the most. I use my mouse buttons in almost every game I play. And V and C is only because I was playing Viper and I didn't want to have to click my mouse multiple times in the round in order to turn my gas on and off. It just ruins your grip if you do that. So I had it set on something that I can click with my thumb, which is V and C. Everything else is just basically the same. If you bind your jump and your mouse, or if you bind your walk in your space in your jump, it just makes it so that when you jump, it's no sound. It's a silent jump. Yeah, I use mostly mouse wheel down to jump, other than just spacebar, so I don't have to spam spacebar if I want to jump around a lot. But this is honestly just a thing from CS. It really doesn't matter. Equipment, everything is just normal. And everything here is normal. Crosshair, I use 1420. I have a decent amount of crosshairs. I've copied I've copied fluorescence, but these are just like, I don't really use these outside of 1420, in all honesty. This is like the only one that I usually use. You can use whatever crosshair. I don't have an aim down sights crosshair, it's just still 1420, and I didn't really change my sniper scope crosshair. Video settings in general, I have this on plus boost. I don't think it really matters too much, but that's what I have. I play on 1920, I don't change my res. Obviously, you should play on whatever hertz your monitor can support, like the maximum amount. Mine's 240. Yeah, everything else is, you don't have to change any of this. I play in full screen. I think you need to play in full screen or else you get input delay. My graphics qualities are all on low. Multi-core rendering is just, multi-threaded rendering is just for CPU. You can do your own research for that. I have a vignette off, I have VSync off. You should always have VSync off. This also increases input lag. I like it so that MSA, or the anti-aliasing is at MSA 4x because I like my game looking like kind of smooth and not jagged. This doesn't really matter too much. And I have this off. Only bloom is on. I like to see my FPS, and that's the only thing I really care about. Sometimes you can, if you feel like you have bad internet, you can see your packet loss. And I mean, audio is pretty normal. I don't like having music on. I just like it so that I turn this all the way up whenever I'm in a round, and I turn this usually down if I have to listen to my IG on like a call or we're talking to teammates in the buy phase. So this is my mouse grip. I kind of have a pretty standard mouse grip, I'd say. I mean, it's not really like a palm or a claw grip or anything special. I mean, it's just like it's just, I don't know. I don't do anything special. This is just my mouse grip. This is how it looks from all angles. I mean, I'm eventually gonna, I use a super light right now, but I'm eventually gonna switch to the Sentinels mouse, Razer mouse probably, when I get my hands on it. So whenever I play ranked, I like to go in the range or like whenever I play just matches or ranked or anything like that, if I'm trying to scrim or any of that stuff, I like to go in the range first. I like to do like the 50 bots in the range to kind of get myself like my hand warmed up. And then after that, I like to just go into death matches. I like to just play usually like 3 to 4, maybe more death matches until I feel warm, honestly. It usually just depends on the day. But yeah, I like to start with the range to kind of warm up my hand and my mouse and just get a feel for holding my mouse. And then I like to go in death match like 4 or 5 times. Usually I like to do normal death matches and then I end on like a TDM if I have time, but if I don't, I'll just play like 3 to 4 death matches if I can. However many I have time for, not a big deal. I just like to play death matches in general.
All right, so that is basically everyone's settings for the Sentinels team. So for those who wanted to actually copy the settings or were just curious on what settings we use, because each and every single person uses personalized settings, so it's quite interesting to see the different varieties that people can bring. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed the video, hope it was helpful, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Peace out.